Right, so recently Minchiko told us there was a possibility the iPhone SE4 could be postponed or cancelled altogether. And while we have an update regarding this, and that's a fact, Apple has decided to cancel this, and so let's delve into it. So yes, allegedly the iPhone SE4 has been scrapped, there are no plans to make it, and this could be the end of the iPhone SE as we know it. Now interestingly, Quote tells us Apple's initial plan with the SE4 was to give it their first generation in-house modems, and basically see if their modems perform as well as the Qualcomm modems before they give it to the flagship series. However, we have heard about overheating issues with Apple's in-house modems, and so I'm sure development for that has been halted, and so Apple as a result no longer has an incentive to release the SE4. And so because of the SE4's cancellation, Qualcomm's now very happy because Apple's going to continue using their modems for future iPhones for the foreseeable future. And yeah, it seems Apple's really struggling to produce modems on par with Qualcomm's chips. And do remember that Apple bought out Intel's modem business, which was not great at making modems in the first place. And so yes, I'm sure we're going to be waiting for a few years till we see Apple release their first generation modems. Anyways, back to the SE4, I'm sure many of you guys are disappointed by this news. There were many reports regarding a redesign for the SE4, so of course, many were excited. This could have finally had a modern design that was either based on the 10R or the Mini, so yes, this is a huge bummer. However, at the same time, I'm actually kinda relieved, and I can understand why the SE4 was cancelled, because number one, we are entering a recession, so of course, companies are going to be trying to save money, and the SE4 is going to be a very expensive budget iPhone because it does have a redesign. But more importantly, it's a very risky device because, as Minchiko told us in previous reports, Apple's mid-tier and budget iPhones as of late have kind of been rejected by the market. Now, to be fair, it's pretty obvious why that's the case. The SE3 has a super old design, the 13 mini was too expensive for a small device, the 14 Plus was too close in price to the Pros, but either way, these models have flopped, and so Apple has to be careful with the SE, because if they want to maintain their profit margins and give this a redesign, it might come with a much higher price, and that could put off consumers, and this could be a massive flop. And well, Apple does not need those losses, especially during a period like this, so from a business perspective, I can understand why the SE4's been cancelled. And literally the only incentive Apple had to release the SE4 was the modem, but that's now been cancelled. And so yes, I can see why Apple thinks the SE4 would be pointless. Now as to why I'm kinda relieved about this, that's because Apple butchered the iPad 10 release. There was way too many compromises, there was a much higher price, and so Apple could have easily done the same with the SE4. Maybe they gave us a much older chip inside, maybe they're like a MagSafe, maybe they would have retained the notch while removing Face ID, that would have sucked. And so yes, basically I don't trust Apple in making good budget devices. They've been butchering their entry-level products as of late. And so yes, maybe it's a good move for us, the SE4's been cancelled. However, I do wonder what this means for the SE3's lifespan, because the SE2 was in the range for 2 years, I believe the SE1 was also around in the range for 2 to 3 years, and so is Apple going to keep the SE3 for 3 years or 4 years? That would suck because the design's already pretty outdated, and so I'm hoping that Apple does kill this off in 2 years, and maybe an older iPhone replaces that price point. I think the iPhone 12, for example, at $399 would be nice once the iPhone 15s arrive. And so yes, hopefully Apple does kill off the SE3 pretty soon. And yeah, if I'm being honest guys, as long as Apple has an iPhone for $399, even if it's an older iPhone, it's likely gonna be a better option than a compromised iPhone SE4. So yes, I really don't mind this phone being cancelled. Really, the only con with the SE4 not happening, in my opinion, is that it's now likely the mini size is going to disappear altogether, because I was theorizing the SE4 could be based on the mini size and keep the mini size alive in the range, but now that's no longer the case, and to be fair, rumors were pretty split on the 10R design or the mini design for the SE4, so it wasn't confirmed, and there was a chance the mini size would have been scrapped even if we saw the SE4 release. But hey, with the 14 Plus flopping and the 15 Plus also likely to flop, maybe the Mini does come back. We'll see what happens in the near future. But yes, guys, once again, I can understand why the SE4's been cancelled. Anyways, let's delve into your comments. So Thomas says, Apple's playing it safe. Releasing a bunch of new products now could be risky, especially after a weak 2022 product lineup. In my opinion, only the Apple Watch Ultra was a very good release this year. Now, I would disagree with the last point. I do think there are other good releases in 2022, like of course AirPods Pro 2, the Mac Studio. But yes, I do agree there were many mediocre refreshes last year, especially of course with Apple's budget lineup. The iPhone SE 3 and the iPad 10 were pretty bad. And so I can definitely understand why Apple's playing it safe and why they're not releasing the SE4. Now, Joe says too many 6.1-inch iPhones, most of them are redundant. And yeah, that could be a reason why the SE4's been cancelled. We already have the 12, the 13, the 14, the 14 Pro, and the 15's likely also going to be 6.1 inches. And so yeah, that's definitely too many models of similar sizes, and the SE4 adding to that confusion would not really help. And in fact, that's why I've been advocating for a Mini SE, because the 13 Mini will soon be discontinued, and so there would no longer be a 5.4-inch iPhone in the range, and so the SE could fill that gap and offer the smaller size for years to come and actually be different compared to the existing 6.1-inch iPhones. So Zeus says if the OLED they choose is only 60Hz, then it wouldn't cannibalize sales of the higher end models, especially since those targeting the SE generally do so because they have a specific price point they won't go past regardless. This is why two models make sense to milk and stretch that financial boundary from this target market. Now, I kinda agree with your first point, but I do want to say that most consumers are paying for these phones on a monthly basis, and so paying $100 or $200 more for the higher end device actually does make sense to some consumers because ultimately they're only going to be paying a few dollars extra per month. And so that's why Apple has a ladder of sorts with the iPhone lineup, where you gradually get more and more features as you go for the higher end models. And so yes, giving OLED to the SE would disrupt this, and the regular models would lose the edge they have over the SE, so yes, I don't see the SE getting OLED yet. Now, regarding your last point on two SE models, actually I would be down for that. I think an SE Plus would be nice, especially for those wanting a little better battery life. You can get the plus size instead. However, I do want to mention I was completely wrong about the 14 Plus. I thought that would do really well, but that was not the case. So considering we're entering a recession in 2023, Apple's going to be careful with their spending. And so yeah, with the basic SE4 on the verge of cancellation, I doubt we're going to get an SE Plus. Anyways, tell me your thoughts regarding this in the comments. Anyways, thank you for watching, guys. Make sure to like and subscribe for the latest Apple news and rumours. And on that note, see ya, peeps.